All right, welcome everyone who is coming in to the webinar. This is going to be an excellent show. We're going to give another minute or two for folks to come in. While we're waiting, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us what your name is, where you're from, and what your role is within career and technical education, or if you're from industry or from another education field, welcome. We're so happy to have you here today. Also, please be sure to mute yourself unless you are one of our panelists for today. And while you are introducing yourself, I am going to change my settings a little bit so that the view is correct. Let's see. There we go. All right, lots of familiar faces, lots of new faces. Thanks for joining us. And we do have this set up as a meeting versus a webinar. If you're not a panelist, just make sure you stay muted the entire time. At the end, we'll have Q&A. Please feel free to share your questions in the chat, and I will be moderating those and asking questions. We have time built in at the end to ask some questions. If we do not get to your questions, or to any of the questions, we'll send those out to our panelists and send them out to an email to everyone who's registered for this webinar. Also, this is being recorded. If you know someone who is not able to attend, feel free to share this link with them when you receive it. And also, if you know folks who registered and couldn't make it, just let them know that they will be receiving that recording for the link for that recording as well. All right, so at 6:01, we have so much to cover today that I'm going to go ahead and jump in and get started. I'm Rachel Mann. I am the Director of Member Engagement for NCLA. I will be moderating today's conversation. And for the panelists, thank you for joining us. A great title for today, Strategic Fusion, West-MEC and UTI are shifting the paradigm of industry partnerships in education. These partnerships are so critical to what we do in career and technical education, both the vertical alignment with post-secondary, but also connecting with industry and providing more opportunities for our students. And this landscape of work is going to continue to shift, making those partnerships more and more urgent to what we do. I'm going to dive right into the panelist introductions. So panelists, if you can wave just give us a little wave when I call your name so that our attendees know who you are. First, we have Dr. Scott Spurgeon, the superintendent from West-MEC. Next, we have CJ Williams, who is the Director of Business and Development and Government Affairs at West-MEC. We have Jeff Mickey and Josh Mickey. Jeff is the UTI Vice President Consultant for Special Projects, and Josh is the Regional Director at UTI. We have Axel Martinez, who is our star of today's episode. He is an employee at Land Rover dealership. And we have Kevin Nadler, who is the Fixed Operations Director at Larry H. Miller Hyundai in Peoria. So as I dive into this discussion, again, I invite attendees to share questions and comments in the chat. And to start off, for Dr. Scott Spurgeon and CJ Williams, how did the partnership with UTI come about, and what was the vision behind it?
So thank you for that question. It's very interesting. I just started at West-MEC back in July of 2022 and had a number of conversations with several of our automotive folks, and also attended the summer conference where I actually attended the ASE training there in Tucson. And one of the resounding conversations I had was that many of our students, or several of our students, would be coming out of the West-MEC program, and because of the wait time between them being able to get more training, they would be stuck on the oil and lube racks. And so I began to think to myself, how might we be able to move that forward? Because one of our mottos at West-MEC is a faster way forward. And so it just so happened that UTI had a previous relationship with West-MEC, and there was a meeting scheduled that I didn't know about until probably July for UTI to come in and have a conversation. Well, what I would say is Mercy Me says, where the hurt and the healer collide. So we had identified a need, and we had identified a solution. And so when UTI actually began the conversation, we knew exactly that they were going to be our strategic partner because our students needed to have a faster way forward because our philosophy at West-MEC is to ensure that our students not only have financial freedom, but get to where they want to go faster with less debt. And so the conversation started with Josh and with Jeff of what they could do for West-MEC to get our students in a place where they could receive the training to move from the lube racks onto the warranty work, because that's where the money is for our students in the automotive industry. And so it's one of those things, it's almost like fate. You know, when you identify the need and you find the solution, it's nice when those solutions actually appear itself. For us, we were looking for that strategic partnership, a partnership that we at West-MEC could call a model for us, because we want to set the stage for a model for every partnership that we had moving forward. And this just happened to be the right opportunity for us to say, we're going to develop this model and this strategic partnership to model every single one of the ones after that, for the ones we do beyond this part. So for us, it was fate. For us, it was when a need met the solution. For us, it was being able to do what's best for our students to have the opportunity to move them in a faster way forward in the right direction to get them in their career path for a lot less money than what they may have to if they actually went the non-traditional route.
And we've had a lot more folks join us since we started just a couple of minutes ago. Thank you for joining us. Please share who you are, where you're from, what you do in the chat. Also, be sure to stay on mute if you're an attendee. We will have opportunities for a Q&A at the end. So please share not only your questions, but best practices related to business and industry partnerships, and also to your transportation and automotive programs and what you're currently doing, so that we can all learn from each other and get better together. And now the next question I have, and I believe CJ, you may be answering this one: how do you ensure that the automotive technology program at West-MEC aligns with UTI's expectations and standards?
Well, Rachel, it is a great segue from the first question. Because this is a strategic partnership, it aligns with our partnership principles. It embraces those, and a couple of the elements, we don't have time in today's webinar to go through all of them, but a couple of those are that there is that timely and open communication around expectations and what those measurable outcomes are of the strategic partnership. Those will be evaluated annually, and that's something that is, I believe, what truly makes a strategic partnership over some other type of engagement or partnership that may exist between two organizations. It also ensures that there's a committed, engaged decision maker from both entities involved. So we've obviously got Jeff Mickey.
You're muted. You're muted.
I somehow got muted, I think, in the process there. We've got Josh and Jeff Mickey from UTI. We've got the strategic leadership of Dr. Spurgeon. So both decision makers, obviously, from each entity. And when Dr. Spurgeon talks about the two colliding, it really was like fuel on a flame. I mean, it just went off. So the partnership evolved, and a couple elements of how we ensure that we're meeting one another's expectations. It's engaged and embedded at all levels. So we've got technical experts from UTI that sit on our program advisory councils for our automotive programs, our power sports programs. We've got Jeff Mickey, who serves on the Superintendent's Institutional Advisory Commission, which is a commission that helps provide that kind of high-level, executive-level guidance to Dr. Spurgeon as we plan the future of West-MEC. We have our instructors engaged at UTI. This summer, we had our instructors attend a course at UTI where they earned some ASE certifications, which is required for them to maintain their own credentials, but it allowed us to bring our instructors together with UTI's instructors and be exposed to their curriculum that will help our instructors to better prepare our students for this pathway. UTI gave some of our students a challenge test, which gave us some pretty good insight to identify maybe where some gaps might exist between our curriculum and our program as it transitions into UTI's pathway. So we were able to kind of shore up some of the gaps that might exist there. And then really having teachers trained and ready to teach in the areas West-MEC students maybe had some troubles in on those challenge tests, I think sets our students up for success. And you'll hear specifically, and this is something that Dr. Spurgeon gets pretty excited about when we talk about the number of students that are able to test out of some of the UTI, the UTI level classes. We had, I believe, 4 students this last cohort that were able to test out of 5 of 6 of those classes. And Josh and Jeff, I'm looking for head nods. I think you guys might be able to confirm or talk about that in the next question. But these are just, it's embedded at every level, and this open communication and really having regular evaluation of those measurable outcomes is how we ensure, not just for UTI, but UTI for West-MEC, how we ensure that we're meeting each other's expectations.
CJ, I think it's important, Dr. Spurgeon talked about fate, but I think it's important. How many transportation students go through the West-MEC facility as junior and seniors, Dr. Spurgeon or CJ?
Yeah, between the 3 campuses that have the automotive programs and then our power sports program at the Northwest campus, I think we're upwards of over 300 students between first and second year between all those programs.
Right. And it's one thing to say fate, Dr. Spurgeon, it's another thing to complement your facility. It is an AST facility, meaning you have met the standards of ASE. And ASE was established in 1972, where there's 250,000 technicians around the country that have ASE certifications. But when you have a facility that is at the AST level, there's 3 tiers. There's the MLR, there's the AST for West-MEC, and then there's the master level or the pro level for UTI, which is 1,200 hours. The AST level allows these students to accelerate, and that means you've met the curriculum standard, the equipment standard, and the instruction standard. And that's kudos to the West-MEC staff and all of you, CJ. That's a lot of hard work, and your West-MEC should be certainly recognized for those efforts.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
So what are other potential avenues of collaboration that you're exploring between West-MEC, UTI, or even other industry partners?
So, Rachel, I think probably 2 of the most exciting collaborations that we have ongoing right now is we also have a diesel technology program that we offer on our Northeast campus that we're getting ready to move a little further south because many of our trucking industry really reside along Interstate 10. And so we have that partnership working with UTI right now. The second big piece is our power sports program. And our power sports program is the automotive side of side-by-sides, 4-wheelers, motorcycles, jet skis, boats, you name it. It's the other side. It's 2-stroke, 4-stroke motors. In fact, what we're really excited about is if you've heard of the new Mario Andretti indoor go-kart tracks, they just opened one in Chandler. They're getting ready to open a brand new one just north of the Top Golf on 99th. And so we're working with the city of Glendale right now to connect with those industry partners because our students need to have hands-on work. And we're going to be offering them free services to be able to take the go-karts that are run on a daily basis, to be able to analyze them, to fix them, to repair them, to move them forward. And so those are 2 more partnerships that we have with UTI that will be moving forward that will give our students, again, a faster way forward and an opportunity for them to be able to move beyond that entry-level 2-year 900 AST piece to move into the more warranty work and the more opportunities. Let's all keep in mind that just because you come out of the automotive program doesn't necessarily mean you're going to go into the automotive industry. There are so many additional applications for the automotive industry that you can go and do and work for tractors or other opportunities in manufacturing. The other thing that I'm most excited about is on our Northeast campus. My board just approved a couple of months ago architectural services to build a brand new 4 to 5 bay electric/hybrid vehicle building on our Northeast campus, which will expand our automotive program, not only in the automotive field, but also into electric and hybrid vehicles. that will also allow us to expand into the battery industry and other opportunities for us. And so we know for a fact that UTI, no matter where we are or what space we sit in, if they have the ability to support us, they will be right there with at the table with us, supporting us all the way to the end of where students finish.
That
One of
is
the
exciting.
one of the things, Rachel, just to add is looking ahead and the legacy of this strategic partnership well beyond just West-MEC and UTI is that this is serving as that model template for other strategic partnerships that West-MEC enters into beyond the automotive industry. So as we look at advanced manufacturing, as we look at healthcare, as we look at other industries, IT, cybersecurity, we are going to model those strategic partnerships after what we have been able to do here with UTI, because one, we know it's tried and true, it's proven, it's tested, and it yields the desired results. So as such, we've got Core Power, a large battery storage manufacturer that has identified Buckeye in the Southwest Valley as its location to build the Coreplex. It's in close proximity to one of our campuses. So we've got a strategic partnership on the horizon there, kind of in that manufacturing space. Nestle also has a large manufacturing facility that is within our district in close proximity to another campus that we have, and we'll model strategic partnerships with each of those employers to ensure that that pathway is articulated for our students. And part of the biggest benefit, and Rachel, you'll appreciate this being in this space and others on the call, the parents need to be able to see the end from the beginning. They need to see what this looks like and see how that maps out for their student. And these strategic partnerships and the articulation that they hold is what allows parents to see that and really get on board. Additionally, as Dr. Spurgeon mentioned at the Northeast campus, a part of the architectural services that has been approved by our board is the complete renovation of an airplane hangar that we have on that site into a 2-story facility to house advanced manufacturing training programs. It'll align with West-MEC's energy and manufacturing systems programs, but it'll really be targeted to that advanced manufacturing space in partnership with the Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, which is really in our backyard there by the Northeast campus in North Phoenix. Huge global company that will, each of their fabs, I think, will produce about $10 billion annually in revenue. And they'll be, and they are, we just met this morning working closely with West-MEC. And again, this strategic partnership that began a year ago with UTI exists in all of these conversations as well.
Wow. And for the folks who are tuning in, know that West-MEC, when CJ was talking about them modeling these best practices, they are very open to having folks come in, touring the facility, sharing those best practices, because they know that we all get better when we're sharing with each other. So if you're coming to Vision in Phoenix, Arizona in December, there are some pre-conference tours, and also you can reach out to them and set up some individualized pieces if they're available. I'm sure I don't work there any longer, so I cannot offer too much, but just want to put that out there. And I'm going to address the next question to Josh and just lost my notes. Sorry, Josh and Jeff. And from the UTI perspective, what do you see as the main benefit of this partnership with West-MEC, and just thinking in general for a more global audience for when folks are partnering together in relationships like this?
Well, thank you so much, Rachel. I'm going to go ahead and take this one. And Dr. Spurgeon, CJ, pleasure to see you guys as well as Kevin and Axel. But first and foremost, for those of you guys that have not had a chance, if you're in the Phoenix area or visiting the Phoenix area, I would definitely encourage you to go check out West-MEC's facilities. They're top notch, they're meticulous. And really, whenever you're on campus there, you just get a sense that everybody that works from them, from the principal on down, they're invested in the students. Students are invested because they all have to get themselves there to the facility. So these are all students that want to be there. They want to be in this industry. And same thing with the staff. They are 100% invested in making sure these students get to the next step, whatever that may be. And in my role, I've had the pleasure of working with West-MEC for about 10 years. And I would go to West-MEC, I would talk to the students, but up until recently, our strategic partnership, I really didn't have anything compelling enough to connect the dots to a West-MEC student on why they could benefit from furthering their education. So it really took Dr. Spurgeon and his staff and Jeff and the UTI staff coming together, lining up the curriculum side by side and saying, you know, how can we get this done so it's a win-win for everybody involved? And what happened was Dr. Spurgeon took the time to come visit our facility, which we're in right now. You can see right here. And he saw our facility. You know, obviously he has a nice one. He saw these BMWs, he saw brand new Fords, Mercedes, Porsche, and immediately it was like a light bulb went off. He said, you know, how can we get our students connected to this? And when we actually put in the work, lined up the curriculum, we were able to recognize the amount of hours they're putting in at West-MEC. We were finally able to put together a deal that was more compelling to be able to benefit and recognize the work that they did at West-MEC and then partner with furthering their education at UTI. And so the biggest benefit is allowing those students to get the foundational training at West-MEC and then further it through one of our MSATs, which is manufacturer-specific advanced training. We're benefiting because we're going to get a more polished student, a more polished product out of the West-MEC with their education. And then we're putting them on this brand new equipment and actually allowing them to come out factory certified like a BMW program here. So as Dr. Spurgeon said, it's all about a faster way forward. And really, it's all about the collaboration. And we're able to share with West-MEC. I can't tell you, those instructors, when those students took the challenge test, they were blowing up my phone or my computer saying, what are the scores? How did my students do? Again, it just shows you how much they really care about what they're teaching the students and does it benefit them. So right now I have the pleasure, I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Eric Nielsen. He's actually the technical team lead for our BMW program here. He's actually a graduate of the program, and he's actually going to walk you through the BMW program right here, how it benefits the students and how a student from West-MEC can benefit from coming through this program. So Eric.
Good afternoon. Eric Nielsen, as you said, I'm the BMW technical team lead for the fast track program here at the Avondale campus. You can see we are here in our BMW shop. BMW has been partnered with UTI for over 25 years. It's actually been a pretty great partnership for both entities. And BMW actually invests quite a bit in this fast track partnership. Just in vehicles alone, we're looking on this campus a little over $700,000 just in cars. There's seven different facilities that the fast track is running at UTIs across the country, and BMW is supporting all those. And that's just in cars. They also support with parts to repair the cars, all the diagnostic equipment, computers, all those types of things. So they have quite an investment in this program. There's some things that are really important about what the students are able to get out of Fast Track. Fast Track is a program that's designed to build the best entry-level technician that we possibly can. The best technician to be able to walk into a BMW dealership and be successful. We have several different programs that we teach here. We teach about BMW information resources. We teach about all the information systems. We teach about BMW warranties and warranty processes. We teach about electrical. I'm actually very proud about that class, by the way. Electrical diagnosis. We teach about chassis and brakes. And we teach it all. The entire shop. This is what the students are working on, are these cars. Most of these cars, in fact, we have 11 cars on this campus. 8 of them are going to be returned and be sold to customers. So they're not just training aids. They're not just torn apart and they've got check engine lights and they're damaged and everything like that. We treat them as if they were customer cars, and they need to be treated so. They need to be able to move. They need to be able to run. The students drive them in and out of the lab. They work on their process, verifying before and after, all those different types of things, which really benefits them when they step foot in the lab. We have about 12 students per class that are going through right now. It's a fairly small class size, and it's intentional that we wanted to limit it to that, so each student can get their hands on these cars, can get the learning themselves, so they're not standing back watching somebody else do the work, which is really the most important thing, is to get that hands-on training. Like I said, it's a 12-week program. They come out with about about 25% level 1 out of 4 levels of BMW credentials when they graduate from fast track. So it can accelerate them. 12 weeks can accelerate them about 3 to 5 years in their career. So it's a heck of a program that's done a lot for the students. On this campus alone, we've graduated over thousands of, over 1,000 students with the STEP and the fast track program. So, right.
It's one thing that's very important, Eric, I think. Also, Josh, the student that graduates from the BMW program, BMW picks up their training costs, and that's unbelievable for any student going through BMW, isn't that the case? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, if they stay with BMW North America, they want to incentivize them to stay with the brand, so they do offset the cost of this program if they stay there. I believe it's 3 years. Is that correct?
3 years, yeah.
3 years. They'll reimburse. So again, as Eric has said, this is a huge benefit. Dr. Spurgeon alluded to it earlier. A lot of the students are getting hired out of West-MEC, but these cars are complicated. Some of these have over 100 computers on them. And so they're not going to cut you loose on a $100,000 car with the minimal training. So the students that now have these credentials, it takes their career trajectory to a whole new level, and they're not going to get relegated to the lube rack. And it's a win-win, most importantly for the students.
And as Dr. Spurgeon alluded and CJ, the students that are at West-MEC, many of the students need to work. And the nice thing is that through an early employment program, Josh, many of the students that you had go ahead and wind up in a dealer at the same time that they're going to school. So now you've got them in a dealer atmosphere, isn't that?
That's exactly correct. Right? You're going to meet one of them today, yeah. Axel Martinez shortly, West-MEC graduate, phenomenal student. And we introduced him to a dealer through our partnership with Penske. And he started there a couple of weeks before he started at UTI. So he's able to apply the skills that he's working on in class in real time. And he's gaining valuable experience, most importantly.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eric. Thank you very much.
That is amazing. And I think that may cover one of the other questions I had for you, which was, in what ways does UTI support and reward ambitious students? And it sounds like there are quite a few rewards that come out of this partnership.
Yeah, I think Rachel and everybody on the call, the students here that come here, it's not something that that they're testing. They truly have a passion for it, and it's a career. They want the best career possible. And as Dr. Spurgeon, you can see his staff, they want the best opportunity for these students. So it's not only a faster way forward, but it's the most competent way in the faster way forward that they can get the credentials, save them time, make sure they don't incur any debt, and at the same time become gainfully employed for a fast track to get into an apprentice type training as a technician. And that's what we're trying to do. I think West-MEC starts that foundation so early, and that's what motivated UTI to be a partner with West-MEC.
And then how do you ensure that the students have a smooth transition? I can only imagine that the excitement to be a part of something so amazing is going to help and facilitate that smooth transition. But is there anything else when you think about them foregoing those introductory courses?
Well, I think every student, and this is something as we just started this first year, and as CJ and Dr. Spurgeon said, we are going to be able, the students will sign through FERPA to let us see what their grades were and how well their tests are. We're going to take that back to West-MEC. And right now, West-MEC already this summer sent their instructors here for ASE and further development training. So I think once we go ahead and continue to analyze, these students are going to see huge success. I got to say, we were pleasantly surprised on how well the West-MEC students did when they challenged the course. So I only see it getting better over the years and seeing them, not only West-MEC teachers getting elevated opportunity to train, but also the students benefiting as well.
So it's a win-win all around.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. And my next question is for Kevin Naylor. Why is the partnership important from an industry perspective? And Kevin is from Larry H. Miller Hyundai in Puri.
So that's a great question. So it's so important that we have, early employment is the key to long-term success. We want to get we want to get the students in the door as early as possible. West-MEC gives us that perfect opportunity. Plus, West-MEC has a great reputation in my community, and we're all for student advancement and opening the doors for opportunity. But really, it comes down to discovering the passion for these students. You know, is it in the automotive industry? If it is, then we want to foster that, and their journey through West-MEC. We changed the company's policy on how early we can hire students. We dropped the age to 15. We put them on a summer internship program, and we want to get them at that age. We want their parents to get involved. We want to get to know the families and know that it's a career. This is something that we want them to be with for a long time. I sit on the board at the advisory board for West-MEC and for UTI, and I'm also a graduate of UTI and first generation car guy. So I can speak to when I started, there wasn't a lot of mentorship, I find myself more and more obligated to help the next generation coming up. But it's exciting times, and it gives us the opportunity to not have to hunt for technicians, that we're out there putting ourselves first, and on top of that, we also reimburse up to $50,000 of these students' education costs. So if they end up going to UTI, they end up going to the schools, and they take their manufacturer's advanced specific training and the BMW STEP program, we pay for that up to $50,000. And I think that's just an indication of how serious we are and committed we are to the program.
That is huge. And that $50,000, that's just flat regardless.
Yep, up to $50,000. So if a student incurs $38,000 or $40,000 in tuition, they come to work for us. We make every payment they have until they're paid off. So they don't have to worry about coming out of school with debt. They can just focus on becoming the best technicians in the industry. And many of our techs, we have 27 technicians in our shop. 70% of them are West-MEC and UTI graduates, and we have many technicians that are making well over $100,000 a year that are both graduates from West-MEC and from UTI.
And it really is a grow your own type of program. So it's such an important investment. How does the collaboration between West-MEC and UTI enhance the value of students as they're entering the workforce?
So, a big deal is when I hire a West-MEC student, I love to work with those that are going to West-MEC and that are thinking about going to UTI and participating. It exposes them to over 1,200 hours of master ASE training, OEM training, that gives students credentials that I can tap into and move them up quicker and not hold them on the lube rack. And then Mr. Mickey was talking about that earlier. Too many shops over the years, you brought entry-level students in and didn't realize how valuable this time was you had with them, and every moment you had as they're still students with us when they get out. I'm going to send them to schools in California and in Texas and many different places to get their advanced credentials with the manufacturers that I participated with. But they're coming out of the door with a world-class education, and to have that opportunity to grow these students into an apprenticeship program with one of our masters. And we have 4 apprentices right now. We currently have 8 students that are from UTI and West-MEC that are working here. And as we cycle those students out and put the students onto the line, we will have another group become apprentices. So it's the only way that we can continue to grow our industry. We first started this at this dealership about 6 years ago. We had 11 technicians. We now have 27. We grew it through that partnership with UTI and with West-MEC.
That is incredible.
I think it's also important, Rachel and Kevin, a dealership is a partnership as well. UTI values the industry as really the main focus for our students. The students are the beneficiary of all of these relationships, and industry becomes our customer to get them the best technician they possibly can through the OEM and the students. The beauty thing, when I say a partnership, realize Mr. Naylor, who is in charge of all fixed operations for that dealership, he has students that come through on field trips. He has industry nights. where in Future Tech nights, where parents actually bring their students in and he talks to them about what it takes to be a technician, opens his shop up to everybody. And that's what a true partnership is at these dealerships. And when a parent sees the first thing that they say, I want you to work here, or this is an unbelievable field. And many times educators will even say, I had no idea this was the opportunity or the money you could make. So it's not just about going to work, but it's truly opening your place of business and letting the parents to see firsthand, counselors to see, administrators and educators to see as well.
Yeah, we also with West-MEC and they'll come to the dealership and they'll have 2 days that we actually participate in the actual class with those West-MEC students here. And at the end, we do a tour of the facility. They get to talk to graduates from West-MEC and from UTI, and they get to have firsthand experience. So it's neat to see the interaction, and it's live. This is where it's at. And too many times still you hear, oh, you want to get in the car business, you know, why do you want to be a grease monkey? It's so not the case anymore. The amount of education, the training you have to have, and the amount of time and money we're going to put into these students to make them successful is a different world than most people have ever actually seen.
A question that I received in the chat, and I'll open this up to any of the panelists, is a question about if this is meant for parents of students in current West-MEC auto programs. And I'm wondering if they mean that if are parents able to enroll, is this an adult ed program as well, if I'm understanding this correctly?
Well, I could say here at UTI, there certainly isn't an age limit, but if a student is really, and a parent is interested in maybe changing their career, they opt the opportunity to go to West-MEC, maybe to get the foundation training. And if they really want to pursue an OEM, they have that opportunity. So there is adult ed at West-MEC. As I said, there isn't an age criteria. We want to see what the best way we can help the parent and see what educational track would be the best for them. And once we see that, we certainly would give them an opportunity. We've seen here at UTI many where it's become a son, but we also have seen a father come to school, and they've come to school together. And we've seen that many times over our 50 years of being in business here.
I can imagine that's quite the bonding experience.
It is. It really is. Absolutely.
And Kevin, you may have already touched on this quite a bit as far as how you're supporting students in their journey through these educational partnerships. But I want to add a little bit to that question, because something that I've heard from folks across the country is that students sometimes graduate from high school and they may have an industry cert, but they may be completely on their own. They may not have tools or any type of equipment. Are there other supports that are provided for students?
So for those students, yes, there is. So we work with the relationship with Snap-on, a major tool supplier through UTI, and through some of the other MAC and MACCO organizations. We're going to provide a toolbox that has all the basic tools you need, and it's secureable, it's lockable, and it's something you can keep with you. You'll have it for forever. I mean, and it's something that we're going to provide to our graduates and our students that come to work for us. It's going to give them that next step up, and they're not going to have to worry about investing that money because it's expensive. When you buy your first tool set to get into a shop and you first start working on cars, it can be $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, which is exactly the cost of the toolbox that we're going to invest in, and they can grow it from there. But you know, and another thing is a lot of students we hire from out of state and from other places that are coming to go to school here as well. We love having them come in. We get to meet the families, and many times it's the first time that a student's ever been away from home, going to school here, going to UTI and attending the classes. Well, we want the parents to feel good and feel secure about, you know, they're away from the house. This is the first time they're out. They can contact me. They can contact any of our team, especially when they're an apprentice. We'll introduce them to the master technician that's training with them. So it's very much a family environment. I think that goes a long way to putting some security into where they're at, and the knowledge that there's somebody that actually cares about them. It's not just they're working for us, they're family with us. I want them to be with us for a long time, even if they're going to go back home to Colorado, they're going to go back home to Utah. We'd like to help them find a place. One of our dealerships, we have over 170 dealerships and from coast to coast in the United States, and to have them find that home before they go back if they want to leave. And of course, if they want to stay here, I'd love to keep them, but it's up to the students to decide. So
fantastic.
And Rachel, along those same lines, the students that actually reside here in Phoenix, proximity matters, and the geographic location is extremely important because many of our students haven't been too far out of the Phoenix area. And so that security of being close to home and having that partnership and that first job of being right there close to mom and dad or aunt and uncle or guardian really makes a huge difference, because it's that personal touch. It's that relationship, and that proximity allows a student to have a great first start to their career.
And I'm sure the families appreciate that you're keeping their kids close to home too, and in a very secure manner, not living in their basement, but giving them a way to earn their own. Well, next up, we have our special guest, Axel Martinez, who has gone through the program, experienced it. Axel, tell us about your success story. We're so excited to hear from you. Thank you for joining us today. Can you give us a recount of your story?
So as a little kid, I'm pretty sure as everyone like grows up, I mean, I myself had that little like Tykes dump truck, and I played in the dirt. I was always wanting to be messing with my hands. Legos were my thing. And then going through elementary school, it was sort of a new thing when going through elementary school was West-MEC. It was the craze. And when the 5th grade, one of my teachers, she was all like, she told my mom, she said she saw me. I was always wanting to be doing something with my hands. Either I saved work for later or I did it earlier. So she was all like, I really think this West-MEC would benefit him, and like would be something he could further develop, and it would be better for him.
Nice. And I love how it's really played out, starting from the toys that you played with as a child. And I've heard some studies about how the toys we play with, it really does impact the careers later on. So that shows the importance of thinking through some of those things. And another question for you. So what career aspirations do you have from here? And with that, can you tell us what you're doing right now?
My career aspiration is to be what they call here at Land Rover is an elite tech, a tech they choose 1 year for being like overall best performer. And I hope I get that at least more than one time, because that'd be pretty awesome. Well, I hope to finish UTI in May and start a Ford FACT, was an MSAT, an OEM training. I hope I get through that pretty good. What was it? Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds like really great ambitions. And why should education institutions like West-MEC offer these partnerships with business and industry from your perspective as a student?
I think they should offer this because my fellow classmates, we're all ones to go at it. Dr. Spurgeon would come into my class in the Northwest campus, and he'd come in for oil changes, and then me and my friend Osvaldo, we'd always go at it. We'd get everything done the right way first time, no comebacks, just putting our heads down and getting to work at it. And I feel like a lot of students in high school have that mentality, just put their heads down and start working from day one.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing this. I really enjoy hearing about your journey, and it just shows the importance of career and technical education and how it really creates education is what creates all other careers. And this is just a great example of that. So thank you for sharing that. And then for all of our panelists, anyone can answer this. What are some roadblocks that others may want to avoid when they're pursuing these types of partnerships? or just some tips just for getting started. So we may have a new CTE director or someone who is just looking at how to get this off the ground. How do they ensure that it can be a success, knowing that there may be that change work is messy, there may be some failures along the way, but how can they learn from what you've learned during this partnership?
I'll just hop in at the top of this and say, don't be afraid to step out and kind of get your hands dirty with innovation. Anytime you're doing something worthwhile, it's likely going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. I would also say, don't get caught up in the reasons why something might not work. I think we can hide behind those excuses sometimes. And Dr. Spurgeon has certainly empowered and created a culture at West-MEC where people feel safe to experiment and take some risks and stretch, knowing that even if it doesn't yield what we had hoped, it's not for naught. There was a lesson learned there. And then just as education and business and industry continue to come together and break down those silos, that we don't get caught up in hiding behind liability. I think the automotive industry has been out in front of this for a while, but other industries not so much. There's extreme value in a 16-year-old having the opportunity to experience the authentic environment of a shop or a manufacturing facility or a healthcare facility, and some of the stressors that come with that we just may not be able to replicate in a training environment. So sometimes I think liability is a self-imposed barrier.
I was going to also say, CJ and Rachel, there's a lesson to learn from Axel. And, in life, it's very important that you follow your passion. I learned a long time ago, probably the two most important days of our lives is the day we were born and the day we figure out why. And if Axel, as a young man, saw his connection to Legos and always working with his hands, sees that an opportunity at West-MEC to really fulfill that passion, then that's what life is about. And you need to believe in yourself. And if you do, you're going to be very successful. And if there's obviously opportunity, the auto and diesel industries and the motorsport industries, the transportation industry is just really hurting for quality technicians. This is probably the best I have seen it in over my 40 years here at UTI, that I can tell you that I've never seen the opportunity. I think, Josh, if you talk about Axel, really take a look at the investment that he's made here at UTI to get in a short time. He's been a benefit. Is that right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, Axel. I mean, we all learn at different levels, right? Axel is a stud, and Axel was able to not only get 3 credits, but he passed 5 of 6 challenge tests. So essentially, through his foundational training at West-MEC and all his challenge tests, that's equivalent to basically foregoing his first year of college. So he's essentially starting in his second year of college. He's going to come out with an associate's degree and hopefully 70% of the Ford factory credentials in less than a year. And so, again, I can't stress enough, Axel is very humble, but he really is meant for this. And I think it's important for educators to understand that when I first started in this business, it was still college for all. And that was the ticket to a better life. Imagine if you put Axel in a classroom for 4 to 6 years, we might have a different result than we're experiencing right now. And because of what West-MEC is doing and the outcomes that they're getting along with UTI, the whole conversation about CTE and the skilled trades is completely changing. And now we're all seeing the benefits for the industry, for the student, and all the businesses and involved in this.
I mean, we should not use money as an excuse not to go to school any longer. There's also, he gets a TIG grant, is that correct? On top of that, there are grants available to all students and scholarships.
Grants,
correct?
and as Kevin mentioned, tuition reimbursement. So
Right.
Axel's at another company that offsets 30,000 of the tuition. So Axel's in a situation where if he stays with the company he's with, he's actually going to make money by going to school. So that's pretty unique.
And Dr.
You know, Rachel, real quick, one of the things that I've said, you know, since I've been in Phoenix is if you don't know what to say no to, you'll say yes to anything. And so I think we sit right now in the greatest space of collaboration between career and technical education and technology and business and industry, because I think if we don't make a difference right now, I think we've lost our window. Because right now, if we don't think differently as career and technical education centers and as business and industry, we have to think differently to be able to solve the issues, because everybody is hiring. And for us in career and technical education, one of the things that I gave kind of as a directive for my folks is how can we think differently around the work that we do, around the partnerships that we have to produce the results that we intend to have. And so we think that this partnership between us and UTI, we thought differently, they thought differently. We brought different things to the table, because if you do the same thing over and over again, guess what? You get the same thing. And so we believe that this partnership really is a culmination of great thinking on both sides of where we sit right now in this space as career and technical education and business industry to help solve or help offset the issue that we have in workforce development right now in this country.
Well said. And we do have a question in our chat. And folks, if you're here as an attendee, please feel free to share your questions in the chat. We do have some time right now to answer those questions. And Robin is asking, is the partnership only initially with automotive? When and what plans are there to offer a UTI marine mechanic program?
Well, we obviously, as Dr. Spurgeon said, we finalized the power sports industry. We're working on the diesel side. We have in the power sports is the marine program. So it is certainly, we certainly can look at and identify. And it's a great question. And I'll put it on my things to do. And I think Dr. Spurgeon can kind of help that along, because in the West-MEC program, they do touch on the marine industry. And that is something that we do specialize out of Orlando, Florida. So it is something that we certainly can look into.
And then I received a direct message regarding how to market this. How do young people know about this program? How do you market this?
Throughout the country, as Dr. Spurgeon and CJ and the staff, they met Josh Mickey. Josh was the RAD, and there are educational representatives. So you just go in and introduce yourself to the counseling staff. We make sure at UTI that the representatives can visit the counselors, give them this information, and that's a real key part. And then we can go in and talk to the classes. Matter of fact, I think Josh, you're headed up to talk to the counselors that coming up here next week. I think.
Yeah, I mean, this deal is so new, Rachel, that you know, even West-MEC, they wanted clarification. So I'll actually be going to the Northwest campus and meeting from the principal down and just clarifying everything, so that way when they're talking with families and most importantly parents, they can connect the dots on the benefits for their son or daughter. So it's a work in progress. It's definitely new. The ink is still wet on this deal. So we're going to be going out throughout all the schools in the West Valley and talking about the partnership with West-MEC, and most importantly, how the students can benefit.
And Rachel, Rachel, you know for a fact that almost any new program is a test and trust philosophy. And so what really matters is how well we do this first one right. And once we get this right, and success breeds success. And so if we can get this one right the first time, it will lead itself to continued success year after year after year.
And I was just going to say, Dr. Spurgeon, the whole nucleus of this, Rachel, is having a staff like West-MEC, that this opportunity of bringing CTE industry and post-secondary education at a very high level, it bridges success for most important. And that student is the student-centric, making sure the students can benefit. And if you put that first, it's a win-win for everybody.
All right, we're getting lots of compliments in the chat. Is there anything else from our panelists? Anything else that you would like to share?
Rachel, I think one of the things that's been demonstrated is that it's having that laser focus on what's right and what's best for the student and that drives your decisions is really how we've gotten here. Because historically, and not necessarily with UTI or West-MEC, but just in general terms, there's been a lot of protecting of turf, and this is kind of our space and this is your space, and we don't really blur the lines between high school and post-secondary and private post-secondary. And really it's because of the people involved in the leadership that we've been able to just kind of throw the old rules out the window and say, we're all here for the same common purpose, to create these opportunities for students. And I think the results early on have just been fantastic. So we appreciate you and NCLA for giving us the opportunity to kind of showcase this, because we do think this is a best practice. And we would certainly welcome anybody, if you're here for vision or if you're here for other reasons, connect with us. We want to talk. We're very proud of what we've put together with UTI and other pathways. So we'd welcome you to come out to West-MEC at any time.
And Rachel, one of the things that I'll say is, we can do our best to ensure students are prepared to move on to the next level. UTI can do their best, but nothing is going to happen without the leadership of Kevin Naylor and folks like him that sit at the dealership, because their relationship, their leadership, their passion, and their care and concern to ensure that the students are successful. Without that, nothing else matters. So I want to say congratulations and thank Kevin, because in the final step of where students end up when they're actually working, that's where the rubber meets the road, because that in and of itself can make or break a student's career pathway, to show that they are in the right place or to dissuade them from being in that place and to go somewhere else. So Kevin, I want to say thank you for your leadership and your passion about working with our students.
Thank you, Doctor. And you speak of passion, and that's really what this is all about. I don't hire for jobs. I hire for careers, long-term careers. And it's surprising how successful and how much pride so as I get older, it used to be about making money when in my younger years, about 60 pounds ago. Now that I'm getting older, my kids are growing up. Turns out the thing I take home with me is the success of the people around me. I mean, it is such a great feeling when I leave at night, and I know 4 of my technicians bought new houses this year. 2 of them found their significant other. There was 3 babies born. All these are signs of a healthy ecosystem. People trust you, and the relationships you have and that they have with the rest of the employees here. I mean, that's the magic of keeping people in the industry, in your facility and in your company. And if you figure that out and you hire these people and you identify that that's what they want to do, and you give them an amazing environment to do it in, and you support them and you celebrate their successes, that's a pretty amazing thing. I mean, to see it firsthand, I want to share it as many times as I can, as long as I have. So, but over the hundreds of times we've done it, we've done the right thing together. And between West-MEC, UTI, and this industry and this company, it's changing a lot of people's lives, and I'm super proud of that. I'm proud of this partnership.
The last thing I want to say, Rachel, is it's one thing to put all the legwork and put a deal together and put a partnership together, but still there's some students that have to have the courage to step up and raise their hand and say, okay, this is the inaugural year of this deal. I don't really know what to expect, but I want to go ahead and I want to give it a try. So students like Axel and a couple other of his peers at West-MEC, I believe there's about 10 of them that are part of this, the first year of this agreement. They really stepped out in front of their peers in courage. And again, as Dr. Spurgeon said, the proof is going to be in the pudding when these kids ultimately come back and can talk at West-MEC, when Axel is that elite Range Rover technician, which I firmly believe he will. That's where it's all going to come together. We could just sit back at that point and let Axel do the talking, because the 5 minutes that he can talk is going to be worth anything else that we can say. So I want to say kudos to Axel and anybody else that has the courage to really step out and go for this deal. And again, if you guys are in another part of the country, there is no other Kevin Naylor. I will tell you that Kevin Naylor is one of one. But if you could find somebody that has the passion that he has in your area, it's going to be best for everybody. Because when I go to Kevin and I say, Kevin, I'm thinking about bringing a bunch of kids, I don't even finish my sentence. He says, yes. And he truly lives that. And he takes whatever he's doing, puts it aside, and he wants to give to the next generation. So I want to say kudos to Axel, kudos to Kevin. They were a major, major part of making this a success.
And just to close it out, Rachel, I just want to thank Dr. Spurgeon, CJ, Stephen Welch. There's a myriad of different staff members, Chris Cook and others that are all part of this partnership. And it can't just happen with one person. It's a collaboration. It's a team effort. And even the instructors that are not here, but the instructors at West-MEC and the instructors at UTI, to see how well they integrate and work together. It truly is something that this is what I hope education is all about and continues on. And I'm very proud to be associated and work with West-MEC, and want to thank both Dr. Spurgeon and CJ. And Rachel, thank you very much for putting this on. We certainly enjoyed being here this evening.
This has been such an inspirational hour. So much great information and best practices for folks across the country to replicate. And I want to reiterate the words of Colette Chapman, who says, "I'm blown away and inspired by everything I've heard today. Thank you." Lots of thanks, lots of praise in the chat. I'll share it with you afterwards. This is phenomenal. For the folks who are tuning in, please reach out if you have best practices in your context for any of the CT pathways or leadership that you would like to share. We're always looking for great content. And thank you so much to our panelists. Thank you to the folks at UTI, at Hyundai, and West-MEC for being here today. And I look forward to hearing more about this, more updates. Maybe in a year from now, we can come back together and see how far we've come in the past year. This is fantastic. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank you.